Hi everyone. Today I'm pointing to three of the kingdom similes of Jesus that give us a window into the economy of his kingdom. Let me give you a definition. When Luke quotes Jesus in Luke 12, "Who then is that faithful and wise steward or manager whom his master will make ruler over his household to give them their portion of food in due season?" For steward, he used the Greek word oikonomos, from oikos, house, and nomos, law or rule. Our English word, of course, economy, comes directly from that, meaning rulership or stewardship of a household or group. Now, there are three similes of Jesus that help us see how the economy of his kingdom works. And in these we see a stark contrast to the systems of this world. They are the simile of the householder, the simile of the hired labourers, and the simile of the stewards. In the one about the householder, in Matthew 13, which follows the simile of the dragnet, Jesus began it with the word therefore, and when you see a therefore, you must ask what the therefore is there for. And the simile of the dragnet explained that the net of the kingdom is gathering people from a great breadth and spectrum, just as it did in the Gospels and in Acts. And so Jesus follows with this, therefore, that is, because of the way the kingdom works, every teacher of the law who has become a disciple in the kingdom of heaven is like the owner of a house who brings out of his storeroom new treasures as well as old. Someone learning about the kingdom is to be like a house manager who has at his disposal the resources of the entire house, a rich store, a depth of treasure from which to bless others. The people of Jesus' day knew and taught Moses, but now Jesus brings the availability of the government of God to the individual. And in introducing the new, he in no way diminishes the old. Rather, one then is able to produce treasure from both old and new, just as Jesus did and Peter did at Pentecost. Jesus spoke of things of the day and of the moment, like sowers and farmers and children in the marketplace, and a man beaten by robbers on the road down to Jericho. But he also spoke of Abraham and Noah and Moses and the prophets and David. He ministered from a treasure trove of things both old and new, and in doing so emphasized the linearity and continuity of time and life and of biblical history as a continuum. And we too have been entrusted with treasure that is deep and rich and pregnant with meaning. Not only, of course, from his word, but also from our own walk, our daily walk with God, as he gives us our story and our testimony of his faithfulness and goodness upon us, treasures new and treasures old indeed. And then there's the simile of the hired labourers. Here's what Jesus said in Matthew 20. The kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire labourers for his vineyard. Now when he had agreed with the labourers for a denarius a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, that's the agora or assembly place where men sought work, and said to them, "You also go into the vineyard, and whatever is right," notice that, "I will give you." So they went. Again he went about the 6th and the 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and said to them, "Why have you been standing idle all day?" And they said, "Because no one hired us." He said to them, "You also go into the vineyard, and whatever is right you will receive." So when evening had come, the owner of the vineyard said to his steward, "Call the labourers and give them their wages, beginning with the last to the first." And when they came, they each received a denarius. But when the first came, they supposed that they would receive more. And they likewise received each a denarius, and when they had received it, they complained. Now in the economy of Jesus' kingdom, clearly something is very different. The strictures of earthbound thinking prevent many seeing as God sees. This master was not looking at what the union said, nor at what the award said, or at what men supposed to be fair. What this master was considering was the heart, attitude, and readiness of the man. His response was, "Whatever is right, I will give you." It was the one who had a willing heart, but had missed out on being hired until late in the day, who was given unexpected consideration by the manager. It was not so much about product as about heart attitude and availability and willingness. When God chose David, he said to Samuel, "Don't you look at his appearance or how tall he is, because God does not see as man sees. Man looks on outward appearances, but the Lord looks into the heart." This is the message of this wonderful simile, and it sprang out of Jesus' encounter with the rich young man who had gone away sorrowful. Then the steward, or the simile of the stewards and the principle of stewardship. God's kingdom and his economy operates in an environment of trust. It functions on reciprocity, in which the king entrusts things to his subjects: time, opportunities, talents, gifts, abilities. He invests in them and seeks a return on his investment. Now Jesus expects what has been entrusted to be employed in faith. Here's the simile. It's in Matthew 25. "For the kingdom of heaven is like a man travelling to a far country, who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability or capacity. And immediately he went on a journey. And then he who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them, and made another 5 talents. And likewise he who had received 2 gained 2 more also. But he who had received 1 went and dug in the ground and hid his Lord's money. And after a long time, the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with them. We know the results. 2 acted in faith, the third acted in fear. He said, I knew you were a hard man with tough expectations, so I feared you, and I dug a hole and hid what you entrusted, and here it is." But God's kingdom economy operates on principles of stewardship, trust, and faith. And Jesus said, "For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And now cast the unprofitable servant into outer darkness." Here's a conclusion. 1, God expects us to be accumulating a storehouse of treasures. Treasures produced by our walk with him, of victories won, and prayer answered, and lessons learned. Treasures new and old with which to bless others. 2, in his economy, it is the disposition of our heart that God sees and rewards. His reward is not primarily for how much you have achieved. It is for your heart for him, an ever ready and willing heart. A disposition that says, as Solomon said, "Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might." And that applies whether you are waiting or working. And 3, we function in his economy by faith, by its house rules, which include trust and faith. The commended servants stepped out and used what had been entrusted, and they were rewarded. The third one operated in fear and gained nothing. May you be rewarded. May you move in faith in the principles of God's kingdom economy, and may the Lord bless you. Amen.